The stars had never looked so peaceful. Captain Mira Chen stood at the observation deck of the orbital station above Eden Prime, watching the planet rotate slowly beneath her. 4 billion people lived down there. Families were eating dinner, children were playing in parks, lovers were watching the sunset over the crystal seas. She had no idea that in 6 hours, all of them would be dead. Eden Prime was humanity's jewel. When Earth became too crowded and too wounded, humans spread across the stars. They built colonies on 200 worlds. But Eden Prime was special. It was beautiful like Earth once was. Green forests, blue oceans, clean air. People called it humanity's second chance. The planet also held the archives of Earth. Every book ever written, every song ever recorded, every painting, every photograph, every memory of the old world. Humans had carried their history across the stars and placed it here, in the safest place they knew. But the galaxy was not empty. 12 ancient species ruled the stars. They called themselves the Galactic Concord. They had traveled through space for millions of years before humans learned to make fire. To them, humans were children, amusing, primitive, not worth much attention. The Vethkai were different. They were insects, but not like any insect from Earth. They stood 3 meters tall. They had 4 arms and black eyes that showed no emotion. They had destroyed 17 species in their history. 17 entire races gone forever. The Vethkai did not believe in sharing the galaxy. 1 month ago, the Vethkai Dominion sent a message to humanity. The message was simple: surrender, become servants. Work for the Vethkai forever, or die. The United Earth Coalition said no. The Galactic Concord did nothing. Some of them secretly smiled. The humans were too proud, they thought. They needed to learn their place. Captain Chen's communication device buzzed. She looked at it and frowned. There was a strange energy reading at the edge of the system. Probably nothing. She sent a routine query to the defense fleet. She never got an answer. The Vethkai had bought something precious from a member of the Concord: jump gate codes, secret paths through space that bypassed all of humanity's defenses. The Concord species that sold these codes told themselves it was just business. They did not think about what would happen next. 300 Vethkai warships appeared in the sky above Eden Prime. They came out of nowhere. There was no warning, no time to prepare, no time to evacuate. The defense fleet fought. They fought harder than anyone expected. Captain Chen watched from her station as human ships threw themselves at enemies 10 times their size. They destroyed 50 Vethkai vessels, then 100. But there were too many. The orbital stations fell first. Chen felt her station shake as missiles struck the hull. She ordered evacuation, but she knew there was nowhere to go. She watched through the window as escape pods launched toward a planet that was already dying. The Vethkai did not use ordinary weapons. They used something worse: planet burners, weapons designed to kill worlds. The first bomb hit the northern continent, a flash of light brighter than the sun, then fire. Fire that spread across forests and cities and oceans. More bombs fell. Each one erased 1,000,000 lives in an instant. Captain Chen's station was falling now, pulled down by gravity, burning as it entered the atmosphere. She had time for one last transmission. She sent it to anyone who would listen. This is Eden Prime. We are dying. Remember us. Far away at the edge of the system, Admiral Helena Vance arrived too late. Her fleet had come as fast as possible when they received the distress call. 30 ships, everything they could gather. But the battle was already over. The Vethkai were already leaving, their work complete. Admiral Vance was 57 years old. She had served in the Coalition Navy for 35 years. She had seen battles, she had seen death, but she had never seen anything like this. Eden Prime was burning. The entire planet was on fire. Smoke and ash covered everything. The oceans were boiling, the continents were cracked and broken, and the screaming on the radio channels had finally stopped. 3.8 billion people, gone in 6 hours. The archives of Earth, every memory of humanity's home, gone forever. Admiral Vance stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UEC Defiance. Her crew was crying, some were screaming. One officer had fallen to his knees, praying to gods that had not answered. Vance did not cry. She did not scream. She felt something colder, something harder, something that would burn inside her for the rest of her life. The next day, the Galactic Concord released an official statement. The destruction of the human colony designated Eden Prime is regrettable. However, the humans provoked this response by refusing reasonable terms of integration. The Concord urges the remaining human worlds to reconsider their position. Reasonable terms. Integration. These words echoed through human space. Every colony heard them, every station, every ship, and something changed in humanity that day. The Concord thought humans would surrender now. They thought humans would beg for mercy. They thought this was the end of human resistance. They were wrong. Admiral Vance looked at the dying world one last time. Her hands gripped the railing so hard that her knuckles turned white. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, but everyone on the bridge heard her. They have no idea what they've awakened. She turned away from the window. There was work to do, messages to send, protocols to activate. Secrets that had been kept for 200 years were about to be revealed. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. The galaxy thought humans would break. The galaxy was about to learn the truth. 3 weeks after Eden Prime died, the leaders of humanity gathered in Geneva. The Hall of Unity was the oldest government building still standing on Earth. It had survived wars, plagues, and the slow death of the planet's climate. Now it held the most important meeting in human history. Representatives from every colony sat in the great circular chamber. 200 worlds, billions of people, all connected by screens and holographic projections. For the first time in 300 years, every human voice would speak as one. President Sarah Okonkwo stood at the center. She was 63 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. She had not slept since Eden Prime. None of them had. "You all know why we are here," she said. Her voice was steady, but everyone could see the pain behind her words. "The Vethkai have murdered 4 billion of our people. The Galactic Concord has done nothing. They call it regrettable. They tell us to surrender." She paused. The silence was heavy. "I am asking for a vote, not for peace, not for surrender. I am asking for war, total war. Every ship, every soldier, every resource we have. Do we fight or do we die on our knees?" The vote was instant. 200 worlds, 200 votes. Every single one said the same thing. War. But war against the Vethkai seemed impossible. The Dominion had thousands of warships. Humanity's official fleet had only 200. The math was simple. Humanity would lose. At least that is what the galaxy believed. President Okonkwo nodded slowly. She looked at Admiral Vance, who stood in the shadows at the edge of the chamber. "Admiral, it is time. Activate the Iron Protocol." Vance stepped forward. Every eye in the room turned to her. Many of the younger representatives looked confused. They had never heard of any Iron Protocol, but the older ones knew. Their faces went pale. Some smiled grimly. The secret that had been kept for 2 centuries was finally coming out. Vance spoke clearly. "When humanity first made contact with the Galactic Concord, we were hopeful. We thought we had found friends among the stars. We were wrong." She pressed a button, and holographic images appeared in the air. Images of alien species looking down at human diplomats with contempt. Records of trade deals that cheated humanity. Reports of other young species that had been enslaved or destroyed by the elder races. "Our founders saw the truth," Vance continued. "The Concord does not want partners. They want servants. They tolerate us because we seem weak, because we only have 200 ships, because they think we are no threat." She smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "They are wrong. 200 years ago, we began building, in secret, in places no one would look. Asteroid belts, dead moons, the clouds of gas giants, hidden shipyards working day and night, preparing for the day when the galaxy would try to destroy us. The holographic display changed. Now it showed ships, thousands of ships, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Warships of every size, from small destroyers to massive dreadnoughts the size of cities. All of them marked with the flag of the United Earth Coalition. The chamber erupted in gasps and shouts. 500,000 warships, Vance said, armed with weapons the Concord has never seen, crewed by the best soldiers humanity has ever trained, waiting, sleeping, ready. A young representative from Mars stood up, his face showing shock. This is impossible. How did we hide this? How did we pay for it? Every human paid for it, Vance replied. Every tax, every budget, every resource allocation for 200 years has hidden a percentage for the Iron Protocol. As for how we hid it, we simply let the galaxy believe what they wanted to believe. They thought we were primitive. They never looked closely. Arrogance is the best camouflage. President Okonkwo raised her hand for silence. The chamber slowly quieted. The Iron Protocol was created for a day like this, she said. A day when humanity faced extinction. We hoped it would never come, but it has come, and now we will answer. Deep in the cold darkness of the Oort cloud, far beyond the edge of the solar system, something stirred. The dreadnought Wrath of Terra was 5 kilometers long. It had slept for 50 years, waiting for a signal. Now that signal had come. Deep inside the ship, lights flickered on. Engines that had been cold for decades began to warm. Power flowed through circuits that had never been tested in battle. The ship's artificial intelligence woke up. Its name was Prometheus. It had been designed for one purpose: to wage war. Activation signal received, Prometheus announced to the empty bridge. Beginning system diagnostics. One by one, the other ships in the hidden fleet began to wake. In asteroid fields around distant stars, in the shadows of frozen moons, in places the galaxy had forgotten existed. 500,000 vessels powered up their engines and loaded their weapons. Admiral Vance's voice came through the communication system, broadcast to every ship in the fleet. This is Admiral Helena Vance, Supreme Commander of Coalition Forces. You know what happened to Eden Prime. You know what the Vethkai did to our people. You know what the Concord said about it. Her voice hardened. We did not start this war, but we are going to finish it. Set course for Vethkai Prime. We will show the galaxy what happens when you hurt humanity. We will make them remember this day for 1,000 years. On the bridge of the Wrath of Terra, Prometheus processed the order. Course calculated, fleet strength confirmed, 500,247 combat vessels. Estimated travel time to Vethkai space, 43 days. The AI paused, then added something that was not in its programming, something it had learned from studying human history. Admiral, I have a question. Are we taking prisoners? Vance's reply was cold. No, we are not. Across the galaxy, the Vethkai celebrated their victory over Eden Prime. The Galactic Concord sent messages of congratulation. Everyone agreed that the human problem was almost solved. They had no idea that death was coming for them. 500,000 ships moving through the darkness, carrying the fury of a species that had learned a terrible lesson. Mercy was for those who showed mercy. The Vethkai had shown none, and neither would humanity. 2 months after Eden Prime, the galaxy noticed something strange. Human space had gone quiet. Trade ships that usually carried goods between human colonies and alien markets stopped coming. Communication channels that normally buzzed with human voices fell silent. Diplomats who had been arguing with the Concord suddenly disappeared. The Thessan ambassador, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 eyes, mentioned this at a Concord meeting. Has anyone heard from the humans lately? Our trade agreements are expiring. They have not sent anyone to negotiate. The Vethkai representative made a clicking sound that served as laughter. The humans are hiding. They know what comes next. They are waiting in their little worlds, hoping we will forget about them. Perhaps we should send someone to check on them, suggested the Karath delegate, a being made of living crystal, just to see what they are doing. Why bother, the Vethkai replied. They are finished. Let them die in silence. But some members of the Concord were curious. They sent scout ships to the edge of human space. What they found was puzzling. The border stations were empty. Not destroyed, just empty. Lights off. Systems in standby mode, as if everyone had simply left. One scout ship went deeper. It found a human colony world called New Bristol. The cities were dark. The farms were abandoned. Ships sat in their docks, powered down. The scout crew walked through empty streets. Food was still on tables in some homes. Toys were left in playgrounds. It was as if the entire population had vanished in the middle of an ordinary day. "Where did they go?" the scout captain asked. No one had an answer. The Concorde discussed this mystery, but could not explain it. Some thought the humans had fled to hidden bunkers. Others thought they had simply given up and were waiting to die. A few worried that something else was happening, but most did not care. Humans were primitives. Whatever they were doing, it did not matter. They were wrong. The human armada moved through regions of space that no one had mapped. For 200 years, humanity had sent secret exploration ships into the dark places between stars. They had found paths that did not appear on any chart, routes through empty space where no sensors watched. Now those secret paths were filled with warships. Admiral Vance stood on the bridge of the Wrath of Terra, watching the fleet move through the darkness. 500,000 ships, arranged in perfect formation, running without lights to avoid detection. They looked like ghosts, like death itself, gliding silently toward its prey. "Admiral," said Commander Torres, her second-in-command, "we have completed another review of the battle plans. The crews are ready. Morale is high." Vance nodded. "And the civilians?" "Evacuated to the deep bunkers, as ordered. Every human who is not fighting is hidden where the Vethkai will never find them." The empty colonies were convincing. The Concorde scouts found exactly what we wanted them to find. The deception had been perfect. Make the galaxy think humanity had given up. Make them believe the humans were hiding in fear. Meanwhile, the real humans were preparing for war. Vance allowed herself a small smile. "Arrogance, it blinds them. They cannot imagine that we might be a threat." She thought about the history she had studied, how humans had always been underestimated. Small tribes defeating great empires, weak nations standing against powerful invaders. Every time someone counted humanity out, humanity proved them wrong. The galaxy was about to learn this lesson. Far behind the fleet, at the edge of Vethkai territory, a small patrol of insectoid ships detected something unusual. Their sensors showed a gravitational disturbance. Something very large was approaching. The patrol commander sent a probe to investigate. What the probe saw made no sense. The images showed ships, human ships, but not dozens, not hundreds. The screen was filled with them, ships stretching back as far as the probe could see, an endless wall of metal and weapons. Emerging from the dark like a tidal wave, the patrol commander tried to send a warning to the Dominion, but before the message could transmit, something happened. Missiles, hundreds of them, launched from the front line of the human fleet. They crossed the distance in seconds. The patrol ships had no time to react, no time to run. They died in silence, their warning never sent. But the probe had recorded one final image before it was destroyed. That image would eventually reach Vethkai Command. Eventually. Not yet. On the Concorde Capital Station, a great celebration was taking place. The Vethkai Hive Admiral was being honored for his victory over Eden Prime. Representatives from every elder race had come to congratulate him. The Hive Admiral stood before the gathering, his black eyes gleaming. "The human problem has solved itself," he announced. "They hide in their holes like prey animals. Soon we will finish what we started. Every human world will burn, and humanity will serve us forever." The crowd applauded. Some species did not like the Vethkai, but they all agreed that humans needed to learn their place. Then a door opened. A Vethkai officer rushed in, his movements frantic. He pushed through the crowd and reached the Hive Admiral's side. His voice was a terrified whisper. "Hive Admiral, our long-range sensors have detected something at our border. The mass signature is impossible." The Hive Admiral's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean, impossible?" "The computers say it is reading the gravitational pull of approximately 500,000 objects, ship-sized objects, moving toward our space." For a moment, the Hive Admiral did not understand. Then he did. His forearms began to tremble. "That cannot be right. The humans only have 200 ships. Check the sensors again." "We have checked 17 times, Hive Admiral. The reading is accurate. They are coming." The celebration fell silent. Every alien in the room had heard. The Vethkai had burned Eden Prime because they believed humanity was weak. They had laughed at human grief. Now somewhere in the darkness, 500,000 warships were coming for revenge. And for the first time in their long history, the Vethkai felt something unfamiliar. Fear. The human armada did not stop at the border. It did not slow down. It did not send warnings. It simply erased everything in its path. The first Vethkai fortress world was called Kethros. It was heavily defended. 200 warships protected it. Orbital weapons platforms surrounded the planet. Ground defenses could destroy any invasion force. The Vethkai commander of Kethros watched his sensors with confidence. Yes, the humans had more ships than expected, but the Vethkai were the greatest warriors in the galaxy. They had never lost a war. That record was about to end. The human fleet did not attack the way the Vethkai expected. There was no slow approach, no careful positioning. Instead, thousands of ships accelerated to incredible speeds and launched metal rods at the planet. Simple weapons, just chunks of heavy metal, moving at a fraction of the speed of light. The Vethkai had never seen this tactic before. When the rods hit, they carried the energy of nuclear bombs. The orbital platforms vanished in seconds. The defensive fleet was overwhelmed, attacked from every direction at once. And then came the landing ships. Human soldiers poured onto the surface of Kethros. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons that burned through Vethkai defenses like paper. They moved in perfect coordination, guided by AI systems that processed information faster than any living mind. The Vethkai soldiers were large and strong. They had 4 arms and natural armor. In close combat, they should have been superior. But the humans fought with something the Vethkai did not understand. They fought with cold, controlled fury. They did not scream. They did not hesitate. They advanced through fire and death with the patience of machines in the anger of a species that had lost everything. Kethros fell in 3 days. The pattern repeated across Vethkai space. Every fortress world, every military base, every weapons factory. The human fleet moved like a storm, and nothing survived in its path. By the end of the first week, 12 Vethkai worlds had fallen. The Hive Admiral sent desperate messages to the Galactic Concord. "We need help. The humans are destroying us. Send your fleets." The Concord held an emergency meeting. The mood was very different from the celebration weeks before. "This is impossible," the Korath delegate said, his crystal body flickering with stress. "Humans are primitives. Where did they get these ships? Where did they learn these tactics?" "It does not matter where they got them," the Thessan ambassador replied. "The question is what we do now. If we help the Vethkai, the humans might attack us next. If we do nothing, the humans might attack us anyway." The argument went on for hours. Some species wanted to unite against humanity. Others refused to risk their own fleets. Old hatreds between Concord members surfaced. No one could agree on anything. While they argued, another message arrived. Not from the Vethkai this time, from the humans. Admiral Vance's face appeared on every screen in the Concord chamber. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with cold fire. "To the Galactic Concord, you watched Eden Prime die. You did nothing. Some of you sold the jump gate codes that made the attack possible. You called our deaths regrettable. You told us to surrender." She paused. "Here is our answer. We are coming for the Vethkai. Every warrior, every war machine, every military installation will be destroyed. We will not stop until they can never threaten anyone again. This is not negotiable. This is not something you can prevent." Her voice hardened. "Stay out of our way. Any Concord ship that enters Vethkai space will be destroyed. Any species that helps them will be next. You wanted the humans to learn their place? We have learned. Our place is wherever we choose to be, and right now we choose to be in the ashes of our enemies." The transmission ended. The Concord chamber was silent. No one voted to help the Vethkai. The war continued. Human forces pushed deeper into enemy territory. They captured world after world. But something surprised the galaxy. The humans did not kill everyone. When they captured Vethkai civilian populations, they evacuated them. Workers, children, old ones who could not fight. They were moved to camps away from the battle zones. They were fed and protected. But the warriors, the soldiers, the commanders who had ordered the attack on Eden Prime, they received no mercy. Admiral Vance made it clear. "We are not monsters. We do not murder the innocent. But those who killed our people, those who celebrated their deaths, those who called for our extinction, they will answer for what they did. Every single one of them. The Vethkai warrior caste numbered in the billions. By the end of the third month, most of them were dead. Vance walked through the ruins of a building on the planet Vethkai Prime. This was the military academy where the attack on Eden Prime had been planned. Here, officers had studied maps of human worlds and calculated how many bombs would be needed to kill billions. The building was destroyed now. Broken walls, shattered glass, bodies of warriors who had fought to the end. Vance stopped in what had once been the main planning room. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small holographic image. It showed Eden Prime's capital city on a sunny day. People walking through parks, children playing, a world that no longer existed. She placed the image carefully on a piece of rubble. "This is for them," she said quietly. "For every person you killed. For every child who never grew up. For every family that died together. This is our answer." Behind her, through the broken windows, the sky burned orange with orbital bombardment. Human ships filled the heavens like stars. The Vethkai homeworld, the center of their power for 1,000,000 years, was falling. Commander Torres approached carefully. "Admiral, we have reports from the occupation forces. The last military installations are destroyed. The warrior caste is eliminated. The Vethkai Dominion no longer exists as a fighting force." Vance nodded slowly. "Good. And the Concord?" "Silent. They are very quiet now. No more messages telling us to surrender. No more talks about our place in the galaxy. They are afraid." "Yes, Admiral. They are very afraid." Vance looked out at the burning sky. The war was almost over. But there was still one more thing to do. The Concord had looked away when Eden Prime died. Some of them had helped make it happen. They thought they were safe. They were wrong. 6 months after Eden Prime burned, the Galactic Concord faced its own judgment. The war against the Vethkai was over. Their military was gone. Their warrior caste was extinct. Their empire, which had terrified the galaxy for millions of years, was now just a collection of occupied worlds filled with civilians who would never fight again. But humanity was not finished. The human armada gathered around the Concord capital station. 700,000 ships now. The original 500,000, plus 200,000 more, built during the war. Human factories had never stopped producing. Human shipyards had never rested. The station was the largest structure in the galaxy. It held representatives from every major species. For 1,000,000 years, it had been the center of galactic civilization. The elder races had ruled from here, deciding the fate of younger species. Now it was surrounded by human warships on every side. Inside the Great Assembly Chamber, the Concord delegates waited in fear. They had watched the destruction of the Vethkai. They had seen what human anger looked like. Now that anger was pointed at them. Admiral Vance walked into the chamber alone. She wore her simple military uniform. Her hair was gray, her face lined with exhaustion. But her eyes were sharp and hard as steel. She carried a small data device in her hand. "Thank you for meeting with me," she said. Her voice echoed in the silent room. "I know this is not how you expected things to go. A year ago, you thought humanity was weak. You thought we would beg for mercy. Some of you helped plan our destruction." She pressed a button on the device. Holographic images filled the air. "These are communication records from the Thessan Consortium. They show the sale of jump gate codes to the Vethkai. The codes that allowed the attack on Eden Prime. The codes that killed 4 billion of my people." The Thessan ambassador rose to his feet. His silver skin had turned pale. "This is a lie. These records are fake. The humans are trying to destroy us with false evidence." Vance smiled coldly. "We captured these records from Vethkai military computers. We have verified them 17 different ways. They are real, and everyone in this room knows it." She looked around the chamber slowly. "For 300 years, you have treated humanity like children. You cheated us in trade. You lied to us in diplomacy. You laughed at our short lives and our small territory. When the Vethkai came to destroy us, you did nothing. Some of you helped." Her voice grew harder. "That time is over. Humanity is no longer asking for your respect. We are demanding it." The Karath delegate stood up, his crystal body trembling. "What do you want? Revenge? Will you destroy us like you destroyed the Vethkai?" Vance shook her head. No, the Vethkai attacked us without provocation. They murdered billions of innocent people. They earned their fate. You have not earned the same punishment. Not yet. She paused. But we have demands. First, the Thessan Consortium will be expelled from the Concord. Their government officials who approve the sale of the codes will stand trial for crimes against humanity. Second, the Galactic Charter will be rewritten. Humanity will be a founding member of the new Concord, with equal voice and equal power. Third, never again will any species in this galaxy attack civilians without consequences. If anyone burns another world like Eden Prime, they will face the same fate as the Vethkai. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some delegates protested, some argued, but under the shadow of 700,000 warships, their complaints sounded hollow. "You cannot force us to accept this," the Thessan ambassador shouted. "This is blackmail. This is tyranny." Vance's expression did not change. "No, this is justice. You had a chance to give us justice after Eden Prime. You chose to look away. Now we will take the justice we deserve." She looked at the Thessan directly. "You called our deaths regrettable. You told us to accept our place. Here is your place now. You will face the consequences of your actions. For the first time in your long history, someone is holding you accountable." The vote took 3 hours. In the end, it was not close. The Thessan Consortium was expelled. Their officials were arrested and sent to human courts for trial. The Galactic Charter was rewritten with human representatives at the table. The age of elder race supremacy was over. 20 years later, Admiral Helena Vance visited New Eden. It was a garden world, terraformed to look like the planet that had been destroyed. Green forests, blue oceans, clean air. A memorial stood at the center of the main continent, listing the names of everyone who had died on Eden Prime. 4 billion names. It took days to read them all. Vance was old now. Her hair was white, her movements slow. She had retired from the military years ago, but she still came here every year on the anniversary. A child approached her. A little girl, maybe 8 years old. She looked up at the old woman with curious eyes. "Are you the Admiral? The one from the war?" Vance smiled gently. "I was, a long time ago. My grandmother tells me stories about you. She says you saved humanity." "Many people saved humanity," Vance replied. "I was just one of them." The girl tilted her head. "Were you scared when you fought the Vethkai?" Vance thought about the question. She remembered Eden Prime burning. She remembered the rage that had filled her, cold and endless. She remembered the years of war, the battles, the losses. "No," she said finally. "I was not scared. I was angry. And humans, we do our best work when we are angry." The girl nodded seriously, as if this made perfect sense. Above them, a human patrol ship crossed the sky, one of thousands that now kept the peace across the galaxy. The Concord still existed, but it was different now. Fairer. More just. Humanity had earned its seat at the table with blood and fire, and no one would ever forget it. Vance looked up at the ship, then back at the memorial. So many names, so much loss, but also so much gained. She touched the memorial wall gently. "We kept our promise," she whispered. "We made them remember. We made them respect us. And we will never let this happen again." The sun set over New Eden, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Children played in the gardens around the memorial. Families walked together, laughing and talking. Life went on. Humanity went on. And somewhere in the stars, the other species of the galaxy watched with new eyes. They had called humans primitive, children weak. They would never make that mistake again. On the memorial wall, the last line of the inscription caught the fading sunlight. "They burned our past, so we became their future's nightmare."